Hey, let's get crafty, friends. You may already know that I'm a big fan of all the things that we can upcycle. So I turned this shirt into a tote bag. So that's what we're going to do today. Very simple. Takes a little bit of time, but pretty enjoyable. So let's jump right in and let's get crafty. The supplies for this one are pretty easy. Any t-shirt that you're ready to upcycle, in this case, Mission Blood shirt. We have a couple of extra shirts laying around. Some sort of ruler or tape measure, some tape, so whether that's painter's tape like this, or masking tape, or washi tape, any of that works. A marker or pen, and a pair of scissors.
The first thing I do is to trim off the sleeves and the neckline to create the bag's handle and opening. The bigger the shirt is to start with, the more space between the neckline and the shoulder then gives me more options for how big I want the handles. I lay out the shirt as flat as I can so that the front and the back are lined up. I also look for where the hemline is along the shoulder and cut inside of that so that all of the stitching is gone. To ensure that the handles on the left and right sides are even, I then fold the shirt in half and cut along the same curve that I cut for the first sleeve. Keeping the shirt folded in half when I cut the neckline ensures that my bag opening is symmetrical. I decide how wide I want the handles and then cut an arc based on that. On this shirt, I did not want to cut into the graphic, so I decided the depth of the neckline cut based on that. At this step, I determine how deep I want the bag to be, and I place tape at the lower edge, remembering that I will need at least a couple inches for the tie. I've learned this by deciding I wanted the bag deeper and not having enough space at the end to make the ties and not being able to actually finish those bags. In order to be more precise with this bag, I chose 3 inches as my mark, started the tape on one end, and then found the 3-inch mark on the other end and had the tape aligned there. That way I knew that I was in fact leaving 3 inches on each side. For step 3, I used my marker and my ruler to mark every ½ inch on the tape. Next, I trimmed off the bottom hem, and then I trimmed up to the tape, but not through the tape, at each of the ½ inch lines through both layers of fabric. This is not an exact science, so on some shirts I end up skipping a line here and there if it's not as straight. I also find that holding the fabric tight helps me to make more precise cuts. For the first and last cut, I also cut up the hem so that the front and back were separated. Step number 5 is when I determine whether I want decorative fringe on the outside at the end of the project or whether I want the ties tucked away on the inside. For this Mission Blitz bag, I want the ties tucked away on the inside. So I went ahead and turned the t-shirt inside out. Then I began to realign the ties so that I knew which ones were together. Just in case you're not sure what you want for your own bag, here are 2 samples of finished bags, one with decorative fringe on the outside and one with the ties tucked away on the inside. To make the tying process easier for myself, I like to separate the top ties from the bottom ties so I can clearly see which ties go together. This isn't a necessary step, but I do find that it makes the process of tying go much faster, and I tend to make less mistakes this way. For this next step, I tie the top half to the bottom half for each pair of ties. I tie it through twice to ensure that it doesn't come apart and to provide a little bit of stability at the bottom of the bag. This part sometimes gets a little repetitious, so it's important that I stay vigilant so that I don't lose track of where I am or tie the wrong pieces together. It's a really simple process, and I'm sure you understand what to do by now, so let me speed this thing up for you. Phew! It's a good start. All the first ties are done. The downside is that there are always gaps in between the ties. To get rid of those gaps, I tie diagonally. I put paper clips on here just so you can see the different sets, but I don't normally do that while I'm making the bag. So in this case, I tied the bottom tie from the white set to the top tie from the red set, and then the bottom tie from the red set to the top tie from the yellow set. I followed this pattern all the way to the end. In other bags that I've made, I've also used a method where I tie in sets of 3. So bottom A to top B, bottom B to top C, and then top A to bottom C. This pattern also works no matter which method I've chosen to tie off the bottom. It's just a matter of checking to see if there are still gaps in between the ties when I'm done. Typically this process is pretty easy, but if I'm not vigilant, I might mis-tie or skip a tie altogether. So mostly it's about paying attention. Normally twice through is enough, but if there are still gaps, then I tie again. In this shirt, I think I might have stretched it too much at the bottom when I was trying to show it off, or not tied them as tightly as I normally do. Either way, I just check for gaps. Since I had to do a third time around anyway, I went every other and tied again diagonally top to bottom, just looking for where there were gaps and tying them off. So here is the final Mission Blitz bag, big enough and strong enough to carry all of the supplies for whatever adventures we go out on with youth group, whether that's game supplies or devotional material or whatever we need when we go out to volunteer in our community.
Hey friends, I'm so glad that you were able to join us today for Let's Get Crafty and the chance to upcycle a t-shirt into a tote bag. Well, I hope you have an opportunity to pick up and use that tote bag. I hope you also get a chance to wonder about what types of baggage you've been holding on to. What's weighing you down? Is it negativity or expectations that you have for yourself or other people have for you? Is it something from your past or someone else's mistakes? Is it guilt? Whatever it is that's weighing you down, I encourage you to put it down. I encourage you to think about things that you can pick up in your life that will be a whole lot lighter, like giving yourself a little grace, some peace, some faith, some forgiveness, I know right now there's a lot that's weighing us down. So I encourage you to reach out to someone. If you're stuck, if it feels like too much, know that you matter. You're welcome to reach out to me at diana@grovechurch.org. And I'm also going to pop up a list of resources that are around if you need somebody. So don't forget to reach out. Don't let your baggage weigh you down. You matter too much. Thanks for getting crafty with us. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye, friend.